Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very sweet welcome all. I am expecting your blessed health along your sweet family, and most importantly, you're thankful. I am forcing the word thankful all the time, right? Yes. Because if you sit with unthankful people, or if you sit with thankful people, you will see the huge contrast and difference between these level of people. Like the first one is, what if you are sitting with thankful people, they will always tell good vibes of life. If you sit with unthankful people, they will always talk about bad vibes of life. Unthankful people will always tell the problem, will always discuss the problem, will always discourage you. And thankful people will always talk about blessing, whether that blessing is huge or that blessing is very small. Thankful people will always talk about those vibes which are totally mentally and physically and socially good for you. And unthankful people will like, hey, they'll be problem tellers. The biggest problem that we are having with unthankful people are that, like they the first, they are not happy from their own self. The second, they don't want others to be happy. Unthankful people, नाशुक्र लोग, जो नाशुक्रगुजार लोग हैं, वो खुद तो नाशुक्र होते हैं. They are not happy with their life and want others be like me as well, कि दूसरे भी मेरे तरह बुरे हाल में हों. अब ये ख्यालात जो हैं, अब these things come from where, ये कहाँ से जन्म लेती है, अब सवाल है ना. तो ये ख्यालात आती हैं हमारे सबसे पहले किससे, भरोसे. आई एम सॉरी. अब एक यंग बच्चा है, देयर इज अ यंग बॉय, देयर इज अ यंग गर्ल हु इज ट्राइंग फॉर एक्सीलेंट थिंग्स, who wants to help other, who wants to do something for people. Then there comes elder, फिर elder उसे रोकते हैं. Sometimes it happens that nobody is focusing on consequences of current situation. अब current situation क्या है, मैं current situation के लिए I am teaching you, right? Sorry, I am instructing you. अब इसकी consequence क्या आएंगे, I know इसके क्या result है. That somehow you will change your thoughts, somehow you will be brainstorming some new perspectives. अब देखिए एक बात है which is very surprising, which is very shocking for me. Hypocrisy. At the time of Prophet Muhammad, there was lots of people who were hypocrites. मुनाफिक लफ्ज बड़ा खतरनाक लफ्ज है, मुनाफिक जो हम कहते हैं, hypocrite. अब hypocrite की definition क्या है? A person who saying something from the mouth, but intentionally he is not saying from heart. अभी hypocrite बन जाती है, right? Yes, right. अब ऐसे कितने लोग हैं हमारे माहौल में जो दिल पे they are saying sweet things, but after the person is gone, they start backbiting. तो उसके पीछे बातें करते, गैबत करते है ना, right? We are having this in our society. Yes, we are having. तो ये क्यों? शायद first of all I am blaming you. Maybe you are doing. Maybe first of all I am blaming myself. मैं खुद को blame करूं first. But alhamdulillah, like I am not like that. I haven't done in my life. Let me guess, like let me start guessing from 2014, since I know myself very well. Well, I don't think that I have said something. Small mind, narrow mind always discuss about people. Sharp minds, beautiful minds, sober minds, sophisticated minds always talk about ideas, perspectives, information, right? Okay, so anyhow, try to change yourself. Okay, only Sadaf Hafiz uploaded the profile picture. The rest Hassan Samira said I have tried but she couldn't. So you can try once again, Samira, in your mobile. You can also try it, okay? From the mobile, you can also change. Arsalan Khwaja Rafi and Durjan Hassan. I told you to upload profile pictures, but you people haven't uploaded yet. Please upload after the class. Are you having some good news, bad news, jokes, quotations, anything? All right.
Sir, may I tell?
Yes, please.
Sir, it is yesterday's news, but I want to share it that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates they got divorced after 27 years.
Okay. Yeah, something like that I heard.
Sir,
Yes.
I have, sir, I have quotation.
Uh-huh.
Um, 1 minute, sir. Sir, I don't say by myself. Sir, I am saying from this. Money says, earn me, forget everything. Time says, follow me, forget everything. Future says, struggle for me, forget everything. But God says, just remember me, I will give you everything.
All right.
Sir, I have,
That's
sir, I have a
beautiful.
question. I read from book Makalat Hikmat. He writes Sufi Barkat Ali. He's a wali of Allah, Waliullah. Waliullah के इंग्लिश में क्या कहते हैं?
Sufi.
Sufi. Okay. He writes a man who submit to a man, he really submit to Allah.
Mama, the frog one and the post work kana. Huh? Willie. Willie narazi. Tata wataliyo. Kaga zamunga khuda hina Mahmud bani de, Shahan bani na de. Ko Shahan shi jos the post work kuna biya warag jawab raki.
Sorry, I was busy. Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Khwaja. Now,
Welcome, sir.
let me share your screen. Do you know what do we call this in English? This one? Or let me show you directly. This is flip-flop, slippers. We call it slippers, flip-flop. This is grater. This is what? Grater. This is spatula. And this is whisk. We are using this whisk for mixing. Spatula when you want to take out from the cooker, and this grater for crushing the vegetables in the form of carrot, cucumber, or tomatoes as well. And flip-flop, these are the slippers, right? So we use all of them in our daily lives. So nowadays maybe you're using this a lot, and this one a lot, and this one a lot. So, but mostly we use this whisk in summer. Clear? And I don't think you have any question from this because I have already shown you the picture. Right? So
No, sir.
let's go. So let's go to our activity sheet. So we were in unit. I wouldn't have done that. I think unit 15 is not finished yet. Tough situation. Have you done it? Yes. This is also done. And today we are going to do this grammar. Past modals. Would have or should have past participle. Okay, so it's very simple. So let me explain over here how it's very simple. Or let's go to the whiteboard. Khwaja, what is your favorite color?
Green.
Green. Okay. So past models for opinions or suggestions or advice. Like if you want to give advice to someone, so the first of all, we can use the should. If you want to give advice to someone, so you can give the above should. Somebody is driving fast, you can say, hey, you should drive slowly. And the negative of should is what? Should not. And the contraction is shouldn't. Clears? Should, the negative is should not and shouldn't. For example, somebody is driving the car very fast. I can say, you should drive slowly. You should not drive fast. You shouldn't drive fast. I can give advice with the help of this. Second, you can give advice with the help of ought to. You ought to drive slowly. And the negative of ought to is what? Ought not to. You ought not to drive fast. And the shortening of ought to is what? Oughta. Shortening, okay? Oughta. Shortening we can only pronounce, but we cannot write. You ought to drive slowly. And ought not to becomes ought not to. Ought not to. Clear? We can only pronounce, we can only speak, but you cannot write this, okay? Ought to and ought not to. Now the third one, which is in your activity sheet, which is would have or should have plus third verb and would have plus third verb. Now with the help of this, you can also give advice or opinion. For example, I can say you should drive slowly. Okay, and I can say you ought to drive slowly. And I can also say you should have driven. Okay, well, one more thing, sorry, I forgot to mention. Should and ought to, these are present models, okay? So sorry, present. These are present models, should and ought to, present models. And now the third one and the fourth one, these are the past models for advice or opinion. If you want to give advice in the present time, so you can give it therefore should and ought to. If you want to give advice regarding past, करना चाहिए था आपको. Clear? Over here we can use should have or would have. So I will say a person who has done an accident, so I will say you should have driven it slowly. You should have driven it slowly. Or you can over here I will say you would have driven it slowly. So if you want to give present advice, so you can use should and ought to. If you want to give the advice regarding past, इस तरह नहीं करना चाहिए था आपको. So you can use past modal, which is should have third verb and would have third verb. And you can also express with the help of what? Is, am, are supposed to. For example, he is supposed to, I'm supposed to speak English, I should speak English, I ought to suppose speak English. And over here for the past modals, so you will use what? Were or was supposed to. So over here, you are supposed to drive slowly. You are supposed to drive. You are supposed to drive slowly, present advice. You are supposed to drive slowly, past advice. Clears? And the negative of should is what? It becomes should not have, and third verb. And should not, the contraction is shouldn't have. And would have, the negative is would not have. The contraction is wouldn't have. For example, you wouldn't have drive fast, or you shouldn't have driven fast. You wouldn't have driven fast, or you shouldn't have driven fast. So 1, 2, 3, these are used for present advices. 1, 2, and 3, these are used for past advices, for past time advices. Any question, please?
Sir, what is the difference between should and ought to?
Should and ought to. Actually, should is mostly we take it as formal, and ought to we take it as informal. But the rest, the meaning is same. People don't care nowadays about the formal and informal. But mostly if you are writing in writing form, so you should use should.
Okay.
Use oughta in sentences.
Sorry?
Sir, how can we use oughta and not in sentences?
For example, you are speaking Urdu in the class, and I want to give you advice. I will say you ought to speak English in the class, or I can also say you ought to speak English in the class, or I can say you ought not to speak Urdu in the class, or the shortening you ought not to speak English in the class.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Pleasure. All right then, everyone. Welcome, Sumer, after a long time. Mr. Sumer. All right then. Then come to the past modals then.
Grammar focus. Past modals. Use would have or should have plus past participle to give opinions or suggestions about actions in the past. What should I have done?
You should have told her about it. You shouldn't have lied to your sister.
What would you have done?
I would have called him. I wouldn't have texted him.
Okay. Now, okay, would have and should have both are same, okay, no difference. Complete these conversations in practice. I was in a meeting at work when my girlfriend texted me saying she needed to see me right away. What should I have?
Done.
What should I
Done.
have done? Then you should have
Sent.
sent her a message and
Told her.
Told her.
told her. Sent, told. The cashier gave me too much change. What should I have
Done.
Done.
done? You should have
Said.
Said.
you should have said something. You shouldn't have
Taken.
taken the money.
Taken.
I ignored an email from someone I don't like. What would you have
Done.
done? I would have
Replied.
Replied.
we left all our trash at the campsite. What would you have
Done.
done? I would have
Taken.
Taken.
with me and
Thrown.
thrown. Now, read the situation. What would have been the best thing to do? These are the situation, these are the suggestions. The teacher borrowed my favorite book and spilled coffee all over it. Oh my God. So what is the best suggestion? You should have spoken to him about it. I would have spoken to the teacher about it. I would have waited for the honor to return. I wouldn't have said anything. You should have warned her not to do it again. You should have left a note for the honor. I would have told her that I prefer something else. You should have exchanged it for something else. Now, which one?
H.
Sir D. D1.
Okay, D. Fine. Or I would have spoken to the teacher about it. That can be also. Okay, let's practice. Number 2. Daniel and Khwaja.
I saw a classmate cheating on an exam, so I wrote her an email about it.
I would have spoken to the teacher about it.
Okay. Now number 3, Samira and Durjan.
A friend of mine always has a messy hair, so I gave him a comb for his birthday.
I wouldn't have given her a birthday, a comb in her birthday.
Okay. Sadaf and Hassan.
I had someone's car when I was leaving a park lot. Luckily, no one saw me.
You should have told him.
Arsalan. Arsalan is not present. Okay, then let's come to the pronunciation. Listen and again notice how have is reduced in these statements. We have discussed it. Now, problem solved. Listen to advice podcast radio. Complete the chart. The problem Ronnie and what did he do? Becca and what did Becca do? Listen and write the note. Okay, listen.
104. Exercise 10. Listening. Problem solved. Part A. Listen to an advice podcast. Complete the chart. Good morning and welcome to Problem Solved, a podcast where we find great solutions to your problems. Life is full of predicaments, but there's always a solution. I'm Cole Williams, and today we have Dr. Jones with us. Thanks for being here, Dr. Jones.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Now, let's get started with our first message. It reads, Dear Problem Solved, I'm a senior in high school and am starting to apply to college. My dad really wants me to study law. He's a lawyer and loves it, but I love languages and want to be a language teacher. We got in a huge fight about it. I got really mad and told him he was selfish. Then I slammed the door. Now we're not talking. What should I do? Thanks, Ronnie. Dr. Jones, what advice would you give to Ronnie?
Well, Ronnie, I understand.
Okay, what is the problem, Ronnie?
So she wants to be a teacher, but her dad
His
wants
father,
her to be a lawyer.
Wants to study language, but his father. And what did he do?
he said,
Selfish to his father and
selfish.
slammed the door.
The door.
Now, the advice of Dr. John. Listen, okay, the advice of Dr. John.
Your frustration. You know what you want to do, and you feel you don't have your father's support. But you shouldn't have told him he was selfish, and you definitely shouldn't have slammed the door. He's thinking about your future and wants what's best for you. You need to apologize and tell him that you appreciate his opinion, but that studying languages is your passion. If I were you, I would have said that from the start. But don't worry, your dad will understand and eventually let you decide your career. Be patient with him.
Patience,
Okay, so what is the advice of Dr. Johns?
Sir, he
Dr.
said him
John
that
said,
you
And
apologize from your
Ronnie,
father
that you should,
and you
that
don't
you
said
should,
your father selfish
One person,
and
please.
do not slam the door.
Yes, Hassan?
Sir, he said him that you don't said your father selfish and don't slam the door. He is thinking that you apologize from your father. Your father is thinking about your future, what is best for you.
Okay, simple as that. He said that you would have spoken to him at the beginning, like, and you wouldn't have slammed the door. Yes.
As always, excellent advice. Let's go to the next letter from a listener in New York. Her message reads, Dear Problem Solved, I have a problem at work. I've been at my company for 5 years and have always arrived on time and even worked overtime to get the job done right. My boss often congratulates me on my work, and I was sure I would get a promotion or raise soon. But I never said anything to him about wanting those things. Then last week, my boss welcomed a new employee. The company created a new position, and this new guy is taking it. They gave him his own office, and I know he's making more money. Why didn't they ask me? Now I feel unmotivated and unhappy at work. What should I do? Becca.
Becca,
Okay, what is the problem? What is the problem?
so she's
Becca?
not getting the chance to.
Not getting promotion. And what did he do?
the boss he don't tell to the boss, and the boss
He didn't ask
he
for
didn't
promotion.
promotion.
Thanks for writing in. While there are plenty of things you should do now, let's first look at what you should have done before this new employee arrived. You said your boss always appreciated your work, but maybe you should have been more honest with him about wanting to grow in the company. I would have talked to him and expressed that a long time ago. It's possible he thought that you weren't interested. But don't worry, there are plenty of things you can do now. Why don't you talk to your new coworker? Find out about his education and work history. Look at him as a colleague and someone you can learn from, not as competition. He might suggest a course you could take or have some good advice. And then talk to your boss, but be positive. Let him know how much you like working there and how much you'd like to grow more in the company. He might have some good advice too, and in the end, he will appreciate your honesty and ambition.
I think honesty and patience are two good lessons we can learn from today's podcast. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Dr. Jones, for being here with us. And listeners, remember, life is full of predicaments, but there's always a solution. I'm Cole Williams, and thank you for joining us today. Don't miss the next episode of our podcast, Problem Solved, next week.
Okay. So what is the advice?
So she should be honest and patient with her colleague instead of considering her a competitive.
Yes. Okay, Daniel, what would you have done if you were in place of Ronnie? Mr. Daniel, what would you have done if you were in place of Ronnie?
Sir, I would have to him well after that.
I didn't understand. Okay, Samira, what would you have done if you were in place of Becca?
Sir, I have said to the boss.
You would have talked to boss directly, huh?
Yes.
Okay, and Khwaja, what would you have done if you were in place of Ronnie? Khwaja. Hassan, you, if you were in place of Ronnie.
Sir, if I am in place of Ronnie, sir,
If I were.
I don't do, sir, I don't do like that. Ronnie is that I should, sir, अपने अबू की बात मानता है. Sir, what is good for me is no better than is knows better.
Okay, you would have accepted your father's word. And Sadaf, what would you have done if you were in place of Becca? Sadaf.
Sir, I would join another company.
You would have joined another company. Okay. Fine then. And I think it's enough for today. We have less than 1 minute and it can be hour in any time. So thank you so much for joining the session today. May Allah bless you, bless your family, bless everyone. Take care. Allah Hafiz. And see you. And this was the homework, okay? You
Allah
didn't
Hafiz, sir.
submit. So thank you so much. Take care.
Sir,
Allah
I
Hafiz.
submit.